The Tab S9 Ultra. It's the pinnacle. It's the top of Samsung's technology in this space. Everything they have learned about making tablets and smartphones has gone into this premium, thin, high-end powerhouse. This is my full review. 2 months with the Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra. Let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech with Benefits. You're here with Daniel as usual. I love the Tab S9 Ultra, and I could probably end the review right now and everyone would switch off and that's all I would need to say. But you probably want to know why I love it. You might be looking for reasons to grab one for yourself and see how after 2 months this thing has been used and how it holds up in the performance stakes and just longevity wise. As usual, I've broken it down into categories. I've got design and display because we want to know how this thing is to look at and interact with from a design standpoint. I have the entertainment features that this has got, like the taking advantage of the display and the audio that comes with it. Productivity wise, what productivity features do I utilize? I'm going to include the keyboard in that too because that does transform this into something else. And then we're going to look at the performance, the actual uses of battery life and performance in things like maybe video editing or just day-to-day stuff like Quick Share. That's stuff people use, especially as part of an ecosystem. Let's start with the design and the display. All right, Tab S9 Ultra's design. It's very familiar. It's familiar because we saw it last year with the Tab S8 Ultra. They haven't changed too much. The only thing they changed is that the camera housing at the back is now the minimalistic floating cameras, like we have with the S series of this year, and the A series for that matter as well. Aside from that, it's very familiar. You have the premium aluminium finish on the back. You've got the S Pen housing there, which the S Pen magnets onto. You've got the front, which has the center cameras with a little notch, which I thought was going to bother me, but 18 months with the Tab S8 Ultra it didn't, and 2 months with the Tab S9 Ultra, it still doesn't bother me. The thing that you notice with the Tab S9 Ultra with its design is incredibly refined. It is so well engineered, it's very light, it's very thin. It's scarcely believable that a device like this can pack all of this performance and power into it, but it does. With the display, you have Samsung's best tablet display that they can offer you right now. It's got the adaptive 120Hz refresh rate, and in execution, it is just so good to look at. It makes interacting with content absolutely stunning, whether that be productivity or entertainment purposes. It's just a joy to use when it comes to design and the display. And not to mention, it is just bonkers that a display like this exists. Like 14.6 inches, you have a TV. You can use this in lieu of a monitor. This display gives you so much. Every time I look at it, I'm shaking my head in disbelief because it just is so good for what I use it for. And that leads me into entertainment because we use this thing predominantly for watching content. A lot of people seem to think that tablets are going to replace their laptops. And look, there are certain workflows that you can engineer that would mean that you can do that. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that this will, because Samsung has built this to be multifaceted. Entertainment on this thing is unbelievable. Because of its screen size and because of its aspect ratio, the entertainment that you can get out of this thing is phenomenal. Part of the entertainment experience too is the speakers. I always find it really hard in my household anyway, using the speakers to their full advantage. Just because it's either I'm watching this when something else is on the TV, so it means that I'm not necessarily getting the chance to experience it properly. But when you do get to turn it up, the speakers on this, you can forget about it. It is just so good that you don't necessarily need to connect it to a Bluetooth speaker to make it louder. It will just be loud enough and clear enough to watch and consume what you are interacting with. Along the way to get there? Or is it trying to make what was great about slab smartphones and incorporating it into a foldable form factor so it can be mass adopted? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because today the OnePlus Open launched and there's things about it that are great, but there's 5 things that don't make it nearly as good as the Z Fold 5. Let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I was a bit inspired. I woke up this morning and there was a lot of rhetoric about the OnePlus Open being the Samsung Fold 5 killer. People tend to buy tablets initially to replace a laptop. So productivity features are probably important in your use cases. I myself actually do use this as a complement to my laptop, but I do replace a laptop for many of my use cases for this. The reason why, just speaking on the form factor that lends itself to productivity, is it's just so easy to whip it out when you need it. You know, and because, I'll get into performance later, because it's a mobile product, It's designed to just sip on power when you're not using it. So when you do need to pull it out, it's going to have charge for it. The thing with the laptop is it just feels so intentional. You feel like you have to do more with a laptop when it's open. Whereas a tablet, it can be for those menial little tasks, something that you just want to do quickly. You know, you take it out of your bag, especially as I've got the keyboard. I whip out the keyboard and get it ready, set it up on a desk or a table, and go to work. It makes me feel more productive. It's that feeling that it has. But it has features to take advantage of it too, like the taskbar. The taskbar is sensational to get stuff done. You know, having the taskbar there down the bottom and dragging apps into position when I need them, and multi-window sort of formulates part of that. It means that I have a really good workflow when it comes to things like trivia, for example. I host trivia all the time. And every week, this is my tablet that I have sitting there for my scoring and just being able to interact with things and get stuff done. The thing is, I also have used the productivity side of things so I can have the scoring on one side, the answers on the other, for example. And that kind of leads into Samsung DeX, because Samsung DeX adds to that by allowing you to do more on the tablet again. So DeX, I've spoken about DeX a lot. We know its capabilities. It's so powerful on here. I did a comparison to the Tab S8 Ultra a couple of months ago, and what I noticed is that Samsung has refined the DeX experience to launch and close faster. And you might not think that's a big deal, but something I noticed with the Tab S8 Ultra is that was a bit of a barrier to entry for DeX. Because the time it would take for you to launch into it, that's precious time that you could be conducting work. And because I said this is something that you like to whip out for quick productivity hits, having that time sort of consumed by DeX opening and closing can be a bit of a stutter. So I do appreciate Samsung's improved that here with the Tab S9 Ultra. Something else that you probably haven't considered with the Tab S9 Ultra is that you can use this for presentations. And I do. The other week, I decided to set myself a bit of a challenge. Usually I use my Book 3 Ultra for hosting trivia, but I wanted to use the Tab S9 Ultra. And I preferred it. I really did. Just having that be the main computer to do the presentation with meant that in actual fact, I could do the scoring on the tablet screen, have the trivia on the main screen, and I just need one device. Because at the moment, I do the scoring on the tablet and I do trivia on the laptop. That was 2 devices that I would have to carry with me. Tab S9 Ultra, I didn't need to worry about that. And the magic comes from the fact that the S Pen is your remote. It is your clicker. So you can click through slides, progress to next questions, conduct your presentation just using the Tab S9 Ultra. It was a wonderful experience and one that I'm going to continue to do should the opportunities continue to present themselves in that way. I'll throw a trivia question in there. See if you can answer it in the comments below.
Question 1. Thanks to Dory's ability to read, Marlon was able to track down Nemo at what Sydney address? That's what we're looking for. What Sydney address were they looking for Nemo in Finding Nemo? Yeah, see, question 1.
So yeah, I used the S Pen sparingly, but that was one instance where the S Pen really came in handy and I'm thankful that I had it. Now, like I said, this is a complement to my laptop. I use this as a second screen for my Book 3 Ultra, so it adds to that experience. So I have this for when I need it for that mobile productivity hit, but when I need to expand my workflow on my actual laptop, this gives me that through the second screen experience. It also has multi-control, so being able to control this screen from the laptop as well, it's also quite useful in that sense. But I think the second screen makes a lot more sense because you're expanding what you're doing on your laptop and putting it onto here. That's not to say you can't use multi-control. Drag and drop between the two works quite nicely. And because of the way I use my Tab S9 Ultra, I have things like my audio files, my videos on here. So I can bring them across into the Book 3 Ultra so I can edit my videos, for example. And the last point here is performance. I knew this was going to be an impressive performance machine because it's got the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. We knew what that did for the S23 Ultra. I know what it's done for my Fold 5. It's just an absolute joy to be using in multiple situations. So performance, I don't even really need to speak about it, but I'm going to. What I've noticed is that the battery life of this thing has been phenomenal. I rarely have to think about it because it's got such a large battery for one, but also when I'm ready to use it, sometimes I may not have used it for a few days and the battery has just kind of sipped away on its power and it maybe hasn't got enough to last me potentially through the night for trivia, for example. I'll plug it into the 45-watt fast charging capabilities that it has and it gets me enough for the night. I can easily get to where I need to last me through the night. To be fair, I probably don't need to even do that because the battery percentage isn't that bad. I just funny that way. But what I also want to cover too, and I kind of mentioned it already in productivity, well, I mentioned it a lot, is the fact that this can run presentations and multitask enough that you can have decks on one screen and perform tasks on the other. That performance level is just so impressive. To not have to worry about the fact that you've got this thing working in two different ways and it's just going to continue to coast through with no hiccups, no stutters, no overheating. I love it. The HN2 for Galaxy is the sole reason. Plus the cooling that Samsung has done with this as well for enabling that performance to exist. I did some tests when I first got this with things like QuickShare. The QuickShare experience is rapid. If you need to interact between the two, send files from your phone to your tablet, the QuickShare performance is far and away improved, and it is so fast with its operation. Definitely enjoy that part of the performance of this thing. I don't do benchmarks. It's just not my thing. One thing though is that the performance of this when it comes to video editing and rendering, you see a much faster output here on the 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy compared to what you had with the 8 Gen 1 with the Tabis 8 Ultra. So you don't have to have any qualms about this if that is something you're looking to do in your workflows. So Tabis 9 Ultra. It is Ultra in every sense of the word. For me, it deserves the Ultra title because Samsung with the S23 Ultra and the Tabis 9 Ultra have made two devices this year that actually reached those pinnacles. I would say the S22 Ultra from last year didn't quite do it. They've redeemed themselves this year, and both devices that share the Ultra name absolutely deserve that tag. If you like this video, I actually did review this in relation to the Book 3 Ultra and that whole Ultra ecosystem. So go and check that out. Make sure you subscribe whilst you're looking through my channel and interacting with some of the videos. Between now and the next video that you're waiting for, you can come hang out with me on Twitter/X and also on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one. You!